Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Windward Buddhist Temple's Eshinni and Kakushinni Day Service. My name is Neil Yamamoto, and I will be your MC for today. We'll begin with the ringing of the temple bell, or Kansho, that signifies the beginning of the temple service. It is a deep and sacred ritual steeped in ancient tradition. It is the calling of the people to come together to listen to the Dharma or teachings. The temple bell represents the gratitude and deep appreciation of the members, friends, and guests of the Windward Buddhist Temple. Please sit quietly in your seat. Please rise for the meditation, followed by the chanting of Vandana Ti-Sarana by the congregation in Pali and English, found in the red Jodo Shinshu service book on page 7. Please be seated. We'll now have an Eshinni and Kakushinni service aspiration by the Reverend Dr. Bert Sumikawa.
It is with deep gratitude to Eshinni, whose letters were found 100 years ago, revealed in the Nembutsu teachings, guided the life of a real living person, that of Shinran Shonin. We learn from those letters how deeply Eshinni cared for her husband and children while living apart from him as he was pursuing his lifelong studies. Throughout her harsh life, she rejoiced in the Nembutsu path through difficult conditions. We rejoice in the memory of Shinran's daughter, Kakushinni, because had it not been for her, his teaching might not have been available to us. She kept the memory of her father alive by using land that was made available through her second husband to create a memorial. Her lineage continues to this day through her son and succeeding 25 generations with the present head of the Hongwanji, the Monshu Kojun Otani. Namo Amida Butsu.
This morning's sutra is Verses Reaffirming the Vows, found in the Jodo Shinshu service book on page 117.
Like the roar of a virtues, with wisdom fulfilling my vows, I shall be a guide to all, like the wisdom of my teacher. May my wisdom also shine all throughout the universe and illumine one and all. If I shall fulfill these vows, may all lands tremble with joy. From the heavens, wondrous flowers rain down upon all the lands. Nama,
Please rise for the Gatha Golden Chain, found in the Windward Buddhist Temple Supplemental Service Book on page 55. Please be seated. Today is April's Dharma School Day. So Dharma School children in grades K and above may now be excused. into the social hall. And at this time, I would like to invite Reverend Barbara Brennan to introduce our special Dharma speaker for today's Eshinni Kakushinni service, Wendie Yumori.
Thank you, Neil. We're very lucky this morning to have Wendie Yumori, a very active Betsuin member. She was, just to give you some background, she was born and raised in Los Angeles and received her BA from UCLA in 1970. Then she moved to Hawaii. When Roy, her husband Roy, is also here supporting her, he was in graduate school after she and Roy were married in 1972. She completed a master's in counseling and guidance in 1975 and a PhD in educational psychology in 1983 at the University of Hawaii. But you know, as all of her friends, although she's so well educated, nobody ever calls her Dr. Yumori. I'm not sure why, you know? So Wendie enjoyed working in program evaluation at Kamehameha schools for 9 years, and then following Roy's job relocation to San Diego in 1992, she worked with students as a guidance counselor for 13 years at Solana Santa Fe School, and she loved it. I think she really loves everything she does. She and Roy retired in 2006, moved back to Hawaii, and became members of Hawaii Betsuin. They do live in Kaneohe, so she's very dedicated in coming over the pali. Wendie is active in the BWA and the choir, serves as chair of the Hawaii Betsuin Music Committee. Wendie and Roy always look forward to spending time with their son's family in Alhambra, California. With that, we welcome you.
I have to say that Barbara and I go way back. So when she asked me to speak for Eshinni Kakushinni Day, I had to say, wow, she asked me for just the right service. Barbara knows that I have a special warm place in my heart for Eshinni-sama. Today, I get to share with you my gallery of Eshinni pictures. Why do I have Eshinni pictures? Well, back in 2001, I was the Betsuin BWA coordinator of Eshinni Kakushinni Day. And it was then that I started reading about Eshinni and collecting pictures of Eshinni. So I'm just delighted today to share my pictures of Eshinni with you, as well as my narrative. We didn't actually know much about Eshinni until her letters were discovered in the archives of Honzan in 1921. Translations of her 10 letters are included in the well-documented book, The Letters of the Nun Eshinni, by Professor James Dobbins, published in 2004. To give a little background, Professor Dobbins said that while Shinran was perhaps from an aristocratic family with little money, Eshinni came from an upper-class family of landowners in Echigo. And, an important fact, she was educated. He believes that Shinran and Eshinni became a couple around the time that he was banished to Echigo in 1207. At that time, Eshinni would have been 25. Thank you, Ryan, for putting my pictures on PowerPoint. I came upon this portrait of a young Eshinni while I was visiting the Oregon Buddhist temple 5 years ago. I was immediately taken with it because the image of Eshinni that we usually see is that of a much older woman. This portrait was created by Mayu Garner for a Dharma School portrait project in which students study major Buddhist figures and then create portraits of them. Mayu wrote this piece to accompany her artwork. As I learned about Eshinni for this art project, I thought of strength, endurance, perseverance, and strong love for the family. The Echigo area gets heavy snow, sometimes covering the houses up to their roofs. But when spring comes, from under the heavy snow, beautiful flowers bloom each year. Eshinni reminds me of those beautiful and strong spring flowers. My portrait of Eshinni is made in the colors of springtime and with kobushi magnolia blossoms. Eshinni's grave is guarded by one big magnolia tree that is over 600 years old. So I incorporated the tree. Finally, I added a collage using copies of her letters on rice paper. Mayu's impressions are validated by Eshinni's letters, which, although written in Eshinni's later years, reveal someone with strength, endurance, perseverance, and a strong love for family. According to Professor Dobbins, 2 or 3 of Shinran's and Eshinni's children had been born by 1211. This depiction of Eshinni and child, created by Katie Kaufman, appears on the cover of the novel The Monk's Wife. This novel was written by Ruth Tabra and published in 2001. Connie Fukumoto, a Betsuin BWA member, spoke about her Dharma friendship with Ruth Tabra at a Betsuin Eshinni Kakushinni Day service in 2012. In her message, Connie shared that during the time that Ruth was researching and writing about Eshinni, that Ruth felt that she had become one with Eshinni. Connie stated, "When we read Ruth's book about the many challenges Eshinni faced daily, her struggles become our struggles. We come to understand Eshinni's suffering when she is reviled as an outcast, as the wife of a renegade monk in Echigo, and when she sees firsthand the reality of prejudice, famine, poverty, and sickness. It is through understanding what Shinran and Eshinni had to endure that we begin to appreciate the teachings we have been enabled to receive." I had to take a picture of this huge mural at Seattle Betsuin. When Roy and I parked our car in back of Seattle Betsuin a few years ago, we saw this beautiful mural on the wall facing the parking lot. I loved the composition of the mural. In the lower right-hand corner was Shakyamuni Buddha at the base of a Bodhi tree, and it really made me smile to see both Shinran and Eshinni in the upper left-hand corner. Usually, at Jodo Shinshu temples, we see statues and images only of Shinran. We are often told that it was the income from Eshinni's family's land in Echigo that supported Shinran and Eshinni's household and Shinran's work. However, I think there was more to their partnership. Reverend Richard Tennis offered his impression. It seems that Eshinni had a true and profound understanding of the Nembutsu teaching. She was motivated by her own experience, which had convinced her that her husband's work was of great importance. Her contribution to and support of his work arose from her own conviction and her own faith. So it is important to remember that as Shinran devoted himself to spreading the Nembutsu teaching, Eshinni just as surely walked the path of Namo Amida Butsu. So it's wonderful to see them pictured together on the mural. As you can see, Shinran and Eshinni are viewing a joyful Bon dance at Seattle Betsuin. Perhaps they're visiting from the Pure Land. I like to think that those who have departed to the Pure Land are still with us, and that their voices still speak to us. They are part of who we are and how we live. This is one of my favorite images of Eshinni. At the Betsuin, our BWA has 2 rooms that we use for meetings, projects, etc. And one of the rooms is called Eshinni Room. Some years ago, I asked Fujiko Motobu, whom we know as our BWA folk artist, to create a picture of Eshinni that we could place on the Eshinni Room door. Fujiko created this amazing watercolor painting of Eshinni. After I digitized Fujiko's image, I encased it in plastic and put it on the Eshinni Room door. In March of 2020, at the beginning of the pandemic, the Betsuin closed its doors. However, because our BWA wished to keep in touch with its members, in April of 2020, right around the time of Eshinni Kakushinni Day, we put Fujiko's image of Eshinni on postcards, and we mailed them out to about 120 BWA members. The postcards conveyed this message: Dear BWA Ohana, as we continue to shelter in place, may we feel truly sheltered by Amida's warm embrace. May we honor Eshinni-sama in our hearts as we bow in Gassho, thankful for all we have received in this most precious life. One of our BWA members said that when she received the postcard, she felt the love that was sent with it. This depiction of Eshinni-sama is a sumie brush painting, one in a sequence of 21 created in the year 2000 by the sumie students of Reverend Seiko Okahashi for an exhibit on Eshinni Kakushinni Day at Hawaii Betsuin. This particular image shows Eshinni in a formal portrait pose, but it gives me a warm feeling because Eshinni has a little smile on her face, and we see magnolia flowers in the background. According to Professor Dobbins, Eshinni was in her late 60s when she returned to Echigo to oversee her family's property, leaving Shinran behind in Kyoto with their youngest daughter, Kakushinni, to care for him. Shinran was well into his 70s by then. After leaving for Echigo, Eshinni never saw Shinran again. The 10 letters written by Eshinni that were in the archives spanned the years 1256 to 1268, or from the time that she was 74 to 86. She claimed to be 87 the year she passed away. This is another sumie brush painting from the exhibit at Hawaii Betsuin in 2000. We see Eshinni writing to her daughter, Kakushinni. We know from her letters that life in Echigo was difficult. We can hear the anguish in her voice when she writes of crop failures, famine, and sickness. Eshinni felt responsible not just for her own family members, but for those who worked for her in her household and in the fields. In her third letter, written in 1263, the year Shinran passed away, Eshinni described a dream she had had many years earlier, in which Shinran appeared to her as Kannon, the bodhisattva of compassion. She told Kakushinni that she was shocked out of her sleep by this revelation, and that she never looked upon her husband from that time forward in any ordinary way. Eshinni was aware that when Shinran was a monk, he had had a similar dream, in which Kannon appeared to him and had promised to take the form of a woman for him to marry. These dreams were very significant in the context of their husband and wife relationship. We can imagine Shinran and Eshinni seeing in each other the compassionate workings of the Buddha. In letter 8, written in 1264, Eshinni said in expressing her yearning to see Kakushinni, "I constantly feel the desire to hear whatever I can from you while I am still living. Particularly since you are my youngest child, I have always thought of you as dearest." In letter 10, dated 1268, the last letter in the collection, Eshinni wrote, "I would be very glad to hear what your children are doing. I especially want to hear about your eldest child. Indeed, how I wish there could be one more time for me to see you and for you to see me while I am still in this world. I myself will be going to the Pure Land Paradise very soon. There, everything can be seen without any darkness. So be sure to say the Nembutsu and come to the paradise to be with me. Indeed, when we go to the paradise and meet again, nothing whatsoever will be in darkness." Eshinni passed away in 1268. This is the oldest portrait we have of her, and it's the one I've seen most often. Professor Dobbins believes that it was probably painted in the late 1500s or early 1600s, but notes that the way Eshinni is dressed as a Buddhist nun appears to be true to her time. In this portrait, I see Eshinni as advanced in age, dignified, a figure to revere. However, I agree with Reverend Patty Usuki of the BCA, who strongly states we may revere Eshinni not because she was the wife of Shinran, but because she was able to rejoice in the Nembutsu path as a woman living in the harsh and difficult conditions of her era. Her faith in Namo Amida Butsu was so deep that she had absolutely no doubt of her own birth in the Pure Land, just as she was. This collage was created by Penny Kumagai Atchison, and it's called Eshinni's Legacy. Penny designed this collage in 2020 for a Honolulu United BWA education workshop. For this collage, Penny affixed the photo portraits of over 100 BWA members around the outlines of Eshinni and Kakushinni. Of Kakushinni, Reverend Usuki states, "We honor Kakushinni not because she was Shinran's daughter, but because his teaching might not be available to us today if it weren't for her devotion to her father and his teachings." Thanks to Eshinni's letters, we know that the Nembutsu guided the life of a real, living person, one who knew that her fully human self was fully accepted by Amida. Reverend Yuika Hasebe has said that she is inspired by Eshinni's strength and courage. Certainly, we as Buddhist women can draw upon the lessons of Eshinni's life. Reverend Tennis goes farther. He believes that in Eshinni's dedication to the teachings, her compassion for others, and her spirit of self-acceptance, that her life should serve as a model for Jodo Shinshu followers, both women and men. And who could disagree? It's on that note that I'd like to conclude this presentation. Warmest mahalo, everyone, for coming to celebrate Eshinni Kakushinni Day. I'm so glad that I was able to share my pictures of Eshinni with you. I've never shared them with a congregation before, and I'm so glad that it was here at Windward Buddhist Temple. Thank you so much. Aloha and ahui ho.
Thank you so much, Wendie, for that very educational and interesting presentation. It was a lot of things I didn't know about Eshinni and Kakushinni, so thank you very much for that. Will you all please rise for the Gatha Becoming Free in the Brown Praises of the Buddha book on page 18, and continue to stand for the Nembutsu found in the Jodo Shinshu service book on page 135.
difference to being and non-being. So, take refuge in Amida, the enlightenment of non-discrimination. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu.
Please be seated. This concludes our Eshinni Kakushinni Day service, but as always, we have announcements with our temple president, Dennis Tashiro.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Wendie, for that very informative message. Thank you, Reverend Brennan, Barbara, for being here, officiating the service. Thank you, Neil, for being our AMC. David, for being a greeter. Cynthia, who rang the Kansho. And Joy, playing the piano. And of course, Ryan, who's recording this service. We do have several guests. First and foremost is our guest speaker's husband, Roy. Welcome, Roy. And we have friends that have come back again from Mel and Irene. Ida, welcome back. Also Amy and Gail Hirohata Goto. And Dennis, the name is familiar. Dennis and Sharon Sekine. And welcome back from last week, Hartley. Did I miss anyone? Okay. All right. Today is the last day of our spring food drive to benefit the Hawaii Food Bank. Thank you to those who have made donations. Today, after refreshments, we'll begin our first once-a-month voluntary temple cleanup. Thank you for those who've signed up to be part of this cleaning crew. We'll clean the temple monthly on the third Sunday after refreshments. If you want to help, please join in. This afternoon at 2 o'clock will be our second gardening class. If anyone who didn't sign up but wants to attend, please see me for more details. If anyone is considering attending the triple celebration in September, we are offering scholarships to offset a portion of the registration fee. There's more information on the bulletin board. The early registration period has been extended to April 30th. If anyone is interested, please see me for more details. Tomorrow is Earth Day. For more than 50 years, Earth Day has been celebrated every year on the April 22nd. Earth Day isn't just to celebrate our planet and its glory, but to emphasize protecting the environment and demonstrating the importance of planetary health. This year's theme is Planets versus Plastics, and it focuses on the detrimental effects of plastic pollution and its effect on humans and the environment. We'll be doing our part on Saturday, May 18th, by doing a cleanup along Ku'ulei Road. More information will be announced later. Next Sunday is our monthly remembrance service. If you would like to remember a loved one who passed away in the month of April of any year, you may do so during this service. We will have a sign-up sheet, so when you come next Sunday, you could write your loved ones on that. And if you also have a picture, you're welcome to bring that. Are there any other announcements? If not, Prudence does have a recap of what the children did.
Good morning. As we covered a little bit about Hanamatsuri because some of the children weren't here last Sunday, so they were able to pour water over the baby Buddha. But being that tomorrow is Earth Day, I thought I would tell them about little things that they can do to recycle. So one of the things that, and I have a whole bunch of stuff, so if the rest of you want, you know, I make little scratch pads from things that one side is not printed. Make sure there's nothing confidential on it. And at one point, before we did that on the screen, we used to make individual programs. And I would collect that at the end, and I'll take it home, and I make a little notepad. So I shouldn't say notepad, it's scratch pad. So I told them how to do that. I taught them how to make a little cup from old magazines. And some of the children really learn fast. You know, like if you're watching TV, you're eating pistachio nuts or whatever, you just collect them in here, and then you toss them out. So we did that, and let's see, what else did I? You can make your own origami paper from, you know, sometimes I get a lot of journals and stuff that come in, and catalogs. You just cut them up to size. So they were playing with this, making their own origami cranes or airplanes. The other thing is, hang on here. I don't know, I think as we get older, you know, we have lots of medicine contained. What a waste. So you can put little Q-tips like that if you want to, you know, when you travel. But for people that sew, I always keep broken needles in one, then it's easy to toss out. Safety pins. Whatever else you can that, you know, if you don't want to just throw into a rubbish can. So the children took containers. I don't know what they're going to put in, but they can put in whatever they want in there. So I have some of those things. And then to top it off, of course this is terrible because, you know, this year's Earth Day theme is plastics versus planet. But I couldn't resist buying this plastic globe balloon. So they were able to find Nepal to see where Lumbini's garden is. They were able to find Hawaii and to see that it's almost right across the world. Somebody asked me, where does Santa Claus live? So they even want to see that. So they each got one of these. And so I have lots of extras. So if the adult children want some, we have some here. And I can even blow up some more. So that was sort of their lesson for today, to appreciate the earth and to know about Buddha's birthday. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Prudence. Okay, if there are no other announcements, it's time to eat. So let's do the words of Thanksgiving. I think Ryan will have it posted on the screen. Otherwise, it's on page 126 of the red service book. We are truly grateful for this wonderful food, a gift of life. May we share its benefits with all beings. As we partake of this food, let us remember Amida Buddha's compassion, which surrounds all people and all forms of life. Namo Amida Butsu. Itadakimasu. Thank you.